Check, 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 check. Test 1, 2, 3.
One. Good morning. Sylvie's here.
Commissioner Oldham.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Paul Graham is here.
Good morning, Maida Coleman here.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Bill Kenny here also.
Good morning to you, Commissioner.
Morning.
And good morning.
Commissioner Coleman, we're going to do our best to get you out of here by 10 o'clock and get all these case discussions done so you can lead your next call.
Thank you so much. Today's a busy day. This conference I'm participating in today starts at 10 and goes to 4 today. And I'm moderating a 10 a.m. panel. So I appreciate it if we can try to get through it as quickly as possible.
Well, I will do my best to be efficient. I think we can get it done.
All right, I'll keep my humor to a minimum today.
Now, Commissioner, you know you're asking 5 former senators not to talk.
Yeah, I've got a plan, Commissioner. If things don't go the way that I hope they do, it will work out.
Good.
I just saw the memorial information for Chuck Graham's funeral. Oh, well, his memorial, I guess, not funeral. So that was a shock. I didn't realize Chuck was only 55. I always thought he was much older.
Young man.
Yeah.
Well, commissioners, we're
Agreed, Chair.
oh, good. Then we will get started right at 8:30, so we can try to get all of this done, and Commissioner Coleman can lead her panel. We are going to withdraw one of them, number 8, so that'll help a little bit as well. Okay, it's now 8:30 and all commissioners are in attendance, so we will call this agenda meeting of the Public Service Commission to order. Due to the COVID-19, the commission is continuing to conduct agendas via WebEx conferencing for the foreseeable future. I would ask that those participating on the call please mute your phone unless you need to speak. Today, we have a number of things to get through. 7 orders. We are going to withdraw number 8, which is file number W0-2020-0190. That one is being withdrawn this week and will be handled at a later agenda. So first up, tariffs and new orders. First up, we need to approve the minutes for May 21st. You all have seen those. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda minutes from May 21st, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved 5-0. Next up, tariffs and new orders. First up, file number EW 2020-0377. This is in the matter of the establishment of a working case for the review and consideration of amending the Commission's rule on electric utility renewable energy standard requirements. This order opens a case file to consider changes to the Commission's rule on electric utility renewable energy standard requirements in 20 CSR 4240-20.100. This is not considered a contested case, and everyone is welcome to submit and review comments and documents on this matter through the Commission's electronic filing and information system on our website. Stakeholders wishing to submit written comments about the amendment should do so by June 29th of 2020, and I recommend that we approve the order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support.
Commissioner Root?
I recommend we approve.
And Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
Yeah. Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EE 2019-0382. This is in the matter of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri's request for... we have a lot of crosstalk there. If everyone could please make sure you're muted. Again, this is file number EE 2019-0382 in the matter of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri's request for a waiver of various tariffs and regulations to enable the development of automated metering infrastructure beginning in 2020. So last October, Ameren, Missouri filed an application for certain variances from commission rules and submitted sample tariff sheets. OPC, AARP, and Consumer Council of Missouri had concerns about some of the variances related to disconnections and reconnections and requested a hearing. Since then, a partial stipulation and agreement was reached by Ameren, Missouri staff Consumers Council, AARP, and OPC, which OPC does not oppose. Again, somebody's really loudly opening a squeaky door. If we could please mute. Okay. The partial stipulation resolves the issues that the signatories agree are not in dispute, and the partial stipulation and agreement identifies the variances and waivers that the signatories say can be approved without modification, as well as a modified variance with terms as identified in the agreement. More than 7 days have passed and no objections to the agreement were filed. I support the order approving the partial stipulation and agreement and granting the agreed to variances from certain commission rules in Chapter 13, and I recommend that we approve the order as drafted version 2. Commissioner Kinney?
I concur.
Commissioner Roop?
I agree.
Commissioner Coleman?
I am in support of the order.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 2 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number EO 2019-0132. This is in the matter of Evergy, Missouri Metro and Evergy, Missouri West's notice of intent to file applications for authority to establish a demand-side programs investment mechanism. This order denies the Public Counsel's application for rehearing of the Commission's amended report and order. I support this order denying the application and recommend that we approve the order as drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I am in support of the order.
Commissioner Roop?
I'm in support as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right, all those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GR 2020-0374. This is in the matter of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren Missouri's purchase gas adjustment tariff. Ameren Missouri filed a tariff sheet to modify its purchase gas adjustment rate. Staff reviewed the filings and tariff sheets and recommended the PGA tariff sheet be approved on an interim basis. No other responses were received, and this order approves the tariff sheet adjustment to go into effect on June 1. I recommend we support the order's drafted version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I support the order.
Commissioner Roop?
As do I.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Holzman?
Support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number GA 2020-0236. This is in the matter of the application of Spire Missouri Inc., DBA Spire, for permission and approval and a certificate of convenience and necessity to construct, install, own, operate, maintain, and otherwise control and manage a natural gas distribution system to provide gas service in Lawrence County as an expansion of its existing certificated areas. Spire's amended application is requesting a CCN for a natural gas distribution system so that the company can expand its current service area to provide natural gas as requested by poultry operations near Pierce City in Verona, Missouri. Staff reviewed the applications and recommended it be approved with conditions that all determinations on rate-making treatment are reserved for the next rate case, and that Spire file an updated tariff sheet that includes that section of Lawrence County. No other responses were received. After reviewing the filings, I think that Spire has met the 5 Tartan factors, and I support the order granting the CCN version 1. Commissioner Kinney?
I am in support.
Commissioner Roop?
I support granting the CCN.
And Commissioner Coleman?
I concur.
Commissioner Holzman?
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Order is approved 5-0. Next up, file number ET 2020-0022. This is in the matter of the application of Union Electric Company, DBA Ameren, Missouri, for approval to expand its community solar pilot program and associated tariff. Ameren, Missouri filed an application to expand its popular community solar pilot program. This is the one at Lambert Solar Energy Center. On May 13th, Ameren staff, Renew Missouri, and Public Counsel filed a unanimous stipulation and agreement that would modify provisions of the first and second stipulations for the initial community solar project. Under the unanimous stipulation agreement, Ameren, Missouri agrees not to construct or expand existing resources until it has customer subscriptions of 90% and obtained a CCN from the commission. The company will also say in any future CCN application if there is potential for future expansion and make reasonable efforts to size future programs to take advantage of economies of scale. The agreement also includes marketing and administration conditions. The agreement points out the initial Lambert Center's 1 megawatt was fully subscribed within 55 days, and as of last month, there were about 2.5 megawatts of interested customers on the wait list. I'm glad that all parties were able to work together on terms that can help with the expansion of any future community solar in an efficient manner, and I support the order approving the stipulation and agreement version 1. Commissioner Kenny?
I support the order as well.
Commissioner Roop?
I support the order.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in support.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I enthusiastically support the order and applaud Ameren for continuing.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 1, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Order is approved 5-0. Finally today, file number EO 2020-0383. This is in the matter of the application of Evergy Metro, Inc., DBA Evergy Missouri Metro, and Evergy Missouri West, Inc., DBA Evergy Missouri West, for approval of COVID-19 related customer programs and a motion for expedited treatment. Evergy submitted a proposal for incentive plans that could help residential customers currently behind on their bills due to COVID-19 get current. Evergy plans to begin offering the incentive-based 1-month and 4-month repayment programs beginning in June. Staff and public counsel have indicated that they support the programs. This order permitting Evergy to implement the programs also directs the company to provide certain information and updates so that the effectiveness of the programs can be assessed. I recommend that we approve the order as drafted version 3. Commissioner Kenny?
I am in support.
Commissioner Roop?
I'm in support as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support the order.
And Commissioner Holzman.
I support the order.
All right. All those in favor of approving the order as drafted version 3, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The order is approved 5-0. So that concludes reports and orders. Next up, case discussions. We have 3 today, although 1 is a continuation of Empire from last week. That's going to take the bulk of our consideration. The other 2 have to do with local public hearings. Commissioner Coleman, are you okay if we take those 2 together ahead of Empire?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so this is Judge Jacobs and Judge Hatcher. 2 separate cases, very similar issues. They're water cases that have come up during COVID that we have not had public hearings on yet, and there are some proposals in their memos on how to handle that. Essentially, the question is, should the commissions, do we want to gather people publicly, or do we want to do it virtually, or do we want to do only written comments? My suggestion for both of these cases is to do something kind of a hybrid of the 2. I think that we've become pretty good at doing WebEx and online hearings on our side of the cases for all of the parties. So I think that we could set something up like that, but also allow a time frame for which people could send written comments if they don't have access to the internet or whatnot, and allow the judges to kind of determine that process. But that would be my recommendation on how to handle these 2 public hearings. Commissioner Kinney, thoughts on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. That's what we should do both.
Okay. Commissioner Root?
I agree. We should do virtual and written comments.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I also believe that would serve the majority, if not all of the people. So yeah, I support both.
Okay, Commissioner Holzman.
I support the chairman's position.
All right, so judges Jacobs and Hatcher, it sounds like you have direction on how to move forward on that. So we will look for those orders. Next up is the continuation of the Empire case from last week. We have quite a few to get through today, but I think they're primarily smaller, less complicated decisions than last week. So we'll just go ahead and start. One of the ones that we had moved from last week to this week was question number 9. This is an allowance for funds used during construction. There are 2 subparts to that, and I want to take those together. What metrics should be used for Empire's carrying cost rate for funds it uses during constructions that are capitalized? And should Empire's rate base be reduced to reflect the source and cost of the financial transaction behind Empire's $90 million promissory note with LUCO? OPC pointed out that since the Liberty merger, Empire no longer manages its debt as a standalone entity, and Empire no longer pays out dividends to its shareholders. Likely because of that, the level of Empire's short-term debt has noticeably decreased to 0 in 2019. The significant decrease in the amount of short-term debt means that the allowance for funds used during construction carrying charges is based on higher cost long-term debt and equity, which is concerning, and I think is something that we should monitor in future rate cases. However, I think that OPC's request that short-term debt be used to determine 100% of the AFUDC going forward is not the solution. I think that there was some evidence to show that a 100% short-term debt metric is reasonable or consistent with the utility practices. I think both staff and OPC think that Empire's 2018 refinancing of its mortgage bonds with a $90 million 15-year promissory note to LUCO. Both staff and OPC think that that was imprudent. That refinancing with the affiliate included a $450,000 loan origination fee, which LUCO didn't have to pay when it acquired the funds, as well as a prepayment penalty. So staff indicated that 2.15% should be the proper short-term cost for debt for that promissory note. And I think that for purposes of calculating the AFUDC, the $90 million should be treated as short-term debt. I know that Empire says that we should apply the formula for calculating AFUDC based on FERC's uniform system of accounts, but I don't think saying the proper and prudent place for that formula, in that formula for the $90 million note, is short-term debt that violates FERC's instructions. Last week we discussed using LUCO's capital structure and just discussed changing. So I don't see a need to reduce Empire's rate base for the $90 million promissory note to the extent that any of the $450,000 origination fee from the loan was included in the AFUDC calculation. I think that amount should be taken out of rate base. So that's where I am on A and B. Hopefully that was easy enough to follow over the phone. Commissioner Kinney, thoughts on 9A and B?
Mr. Chairman, I can actually follow or agree with your conclusion on A and B. So I would support your position on it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Roop?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you and Commissioner Kinney.
Okay, Commissioner Coleman?
That is also my position, Mr. Chairman. So I'm in support of things as stated by you.
Thank you. Commissioner Holzman?
I support the chairman.
Okay, well, I think that might be the most complicated one of the day. Next up, we left off with number 16, pensions and OPEB.
Chairman?
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is Judge Clark. Can I ask a question?
Okay. Yes.
So on, and I was a little unclear on Part A. So we want to go with the FERC Uniform System of Accounts?
I heard not apply
Mr. Chairman,
100%.
No, yeah,
I thought we were
no,
going to limit
short
allowance
term.
funds. Yeah,
Yeah,
short term.
short term for the 90 million.
Short term for the 90 million, and for
Yeah.
the rest of funds during construction, the FERC.
Yeah, well, when I mentioned FERC, I was saying I don't think that treating the 90 million violates FERC's guidance on that.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman.
Yep, and yeah, okay, and we're clear on B as well.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry for the confusion. 16, pensions and OPEB. Part A, should the regulatory accounting or acquisition accounting be used in setting rates for pensions and OPEB? I'm going to agree with Empire and support using regulatory accounting for pensions and OPEB, but I would like to apply staff's jurisdictional allocation. Commissioner Kinney?
Explain. Okay, wait a second. I'm just trying to. I think I agree with you, but let me review something on staff.
Essentially, just making sure that it's only Missouri costs of
Yeah,
their
exactly. Yes,
of their service area.
I support that.
Yeah, okay,
I support that position.
gotcha. Commissioner Roop?
Yeah, I accept. I think we should accept Empire's position.
Without a jurisdictional allocation?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in support of that position also, Mr. Chairman.
Of which position?
I'm sorry, Empire's position with the staff recommendations.
Okay. And Commissioner Holzman?
Same Empire position, staff recommendation.
Okay. Part B, should FERC account 426 be included in the test year pensions and OPEB expense? What is the appropriate amount of prepaid pension that should be included in Empire's cost of service? I agree with Empire. Account 426 should be included as non-service pension costs. I think the second part of the question, subpart B, is also in subpart E, but we'll say now that I agree with Empire's true-up period balance, which is $26,269,345. Commissioner Kinney?
I support both positions. Yes.
Commissioner Roop?
I support those positions.
Commissioner Coleman?
I am in support of those positions also.
All right, and Commissioner Holzman?
I support.
Okay, on part C, should the payment basis or the expense basis be used to calculate SERP? In addition, what allocation percentage is appropriate? I'm going to agree with staff that we should use the payment basis since the costs are not pre-funded, and it seems appropriate to apply the pay-as-you-go method. I also agree with staff and Empire on the allocation percentage being 82.15%. Commissioner Kinney?
Yes, 8215 and staff.
Commissioner Roop?
The same.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes, staff's position.
And Commissioner Holzman?
Staff position.
All right, and subpart D, what should the appropriate rate base and tracker amortization balances for the accounts 182,353 and 254,101? I'm going to agree with Empire's calculation for the rate base and tracker amortization balances for those accounts, which is $12,260,836. Commissioner Kinney?
I'm in support of that position.
And Commissioner Roop?
I would go with staff's position.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I support Empire's position.
Okay, and Commissioner Holzman?
Support Empire's position.
All right, and then I believe that subpart E was already handled, which was the Empire's position of 26,269,345. Back up on subpart, I think B it was. So that brings us to 17, affiliate transactions. A, B, and C, I want to take those all together. Are Empire's transactions with its affiliates imprudent? do Empire's transactions with affiliates comply with the Commission's rule on affiliate transactions? And what amounts should be included in Empire's revenue requirement for its transactions with its affiliates? So I leave these three subparts as being questions concerning affiliate transactions on the whole. And I realize that there are concerns about the terms of the refinancing of the $90 million mortgage bonds through LUCO, which I think we already addressed. But I tend to agree with staff that overall, the transactions between Empire and its affiliates are prudent, or were prudent in this case. I didn't see evidence that persuaded me that there was a pattern of transactions with affiliates that violates the Commission's affiliate transaction rule. So as far as subpart C, again, we've already addressed the $90 million loan issue, which is the only specific concern that I saw mentioned by staff or OPC. So I don't see any reason to exclude or revise anything else from the revenue requirement. However, I do think that the interactions with affiliates should be reviewed. And while staff said it didn't compile a listing of the amounts of affiliate transactions included in the Empire's cost of service, I would like to see in the next case the results of a staff audit of the various types of affiliate transactions. So that's where I am on 17. Commissioner Kinney?
17, A and B, I would be with Empire. And then, as you said, C is already pretty much taken care of.
Okay, Commissioner Roop?
No, yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with staff's position, and I think that Empire should file additional information for the next rate case.
Okay, Commissioner Coleman?
For items A and B, I support OPC's position, but agree with you with your assessment on position C, on item C.
Okay. Commissioner Holzman?
I support the chairman's position.
Okay. I think that gets us on to 18. Riverton 12 O&M tracker. We want to look at subparts A, B, and C together. Should the Riverton O&M tracker continue? I think it should. I agree with Empire on that, at least until the next rate case due to the variations of hours of operation on the Riverton unit. And what is the updated balance of Riverton 12 O&M tracker? I want to accept staff's 131 of 20 Riverton 12 tracker balance of $14,258,325 with a 5-year amortization amount of $2,851,665. And then what level of O&M expense should be included in the cost of service? I want to accept staff's O&M expense of $8,133,625 before jurisdictional allocation. Commissioner Kinney?
I believe I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. A, Empire, and then B and C, staff.
Okay. Commissioner Roop?
I agree with your and Commissioner Kinney's positions as well.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I am in agreement with all three of those positions as stated by you.
Okay. Commissioner Holzman?
Empire staff.
Perfect. Moving on to 19, software maintenance expense. What is the appropriate normalized level for software maintenance expense? I'm going to agree with staff's normalized level, which goes to the end of the update period of September in 2019, which is $836,858. Commissioner Kinney?
I concur.
Commissioner Roop?
I agree.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement.
Commissioner Holzman?
Staff.
All right. 20, advertising expense. What is the appropriate amount of advertising expense to include? I'm going to support staff's position of $129,196. Staff cited its reasons for disallowing invoices, and a lot of those invoices were disallowed because the company didn't provide enough information to support its inclusion. So that's why I'm going with staff on that. Commissioner Kinney?
I support staff's position.
Yep. Commissioner Roop?
I'm with staff as well.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement with that.
Commissioner Holzman.
Staff.
Okay. 21, customer service. Is Empire providing satisfactory customer service? If not, what should the commission order to ensure better customer service? The filed testimony and the comments at the local public hearings clearly showed that there's room for improvement when it comes to customer service. I think this was one of the major disadvantages of not having an actual physical evidentiary hearing, is I would have liked to have had the opportunity to ask more questions and kind of get more in depth on this topic. But I'm hopeful that some of these issues are just the result of growing pains from the merger, and that we will continue to see them addressed by the company. But I do support staff's recommendation to require the reporting and conditions that were identified by the parties in their proposed agreement for 2020 through 2022. Commissioner Kinney?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would echo your comments. Hopefully this is just growing pains, but I do support staff's position as well.
Okay, Commissioner Roop?
Yeah, I agree they're not providing adequate customer service and agree with staff's position. And you can chalk it up to growing pains, but most of the commentary on the local public hearings centered around the estimation of bills and the wild swings of those bills, and then the poor information provided to customers when customers would call into their call-in service, and the lack of knowledge that the people working the phones had on the issue. And so I think there's a lot of training that needs to be done on those fielding those phone calls, and the company needs to address the estimation of bills and how much that is driving customer dissatisfaction.
Okay, Commissioner Coleman?
I would hope that the company heeds Commissioner Roop's statements. Customer service is, to me, one of the most important components of a company doing their job and doing it right. Customers have a right to have their needs met, have their issues addressed. I support staff's position, but I would again caution the company to pay great attention to this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Holzman?
Staff's position.
Okay. Brings us to 22, material and supplies. I want to take subparts A and B together. What is the appropriate balance for material and supplies to be included in the cost of service? And what is the appropriate balance to remove from inventory as it relates to non-electric items? I support staff's numbers for the 13-month average for materials and supplies to be included, which is $32,773,580 before jurisdictional allocation. And I also support staff's recommendation to exclude $76,714 to remove water inventory from materials and supplies. Commissioner Kinney?
Staff.
Commissioner Roop?
Staff as well on both.
Commissioner Coleman?
I agree with staff's position on both.
And Commissioner Holzman? Okay. 23, asset retirement obligations. Should asset retirement obligations be included in rate base as a regulatory asset and amortized? I'm fine to go along with what was described in the agreement and treating the amounts in what Empire refers to as asset retirement applications as regulatory assets to consider in the next rate case. Commissioner Kinney?
I support that position as well.
Commissioner Roop?
Yeah, I would go with MECG's position.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I am also in support of MECG's position.
Okay. Commissioner Holzman?
MECG.
Okay. All right. Next up, 24, LED replacement tracker. Should a tracker be established for the costs associated with replacement of mercury vapor light fixtures and LED fixtures with LED fixtures for private lighting customers. I don't think that the costs for light fixture replacement rises to the level to need a tracker. So I'm inclined to support staff and say no on that. Commissioner Kenny?
No, I think this is an important issue, and I would support the company on this, that we should have a tracker.
Okay. Commissioner Root?
No, I agree with staff. This is not something we would need a tracker for.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
Yeah, same with me. I support staff's position.
Commissioner Holzman?
Staff.
Okay. Should a tracker be established for the costs associated for municipal customers? Same topic. Again, same as my position on the private lighting. I don't think that it rises to that level for municipal customers either. Commissioner Kenny?
I'll be consistent, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Root?
I'll go with staff. It is not needed.
Commissioner Coleman?
I agree with staff also.
Commissioner Holzman?
Staff.
Okay, 25, the May 2011 tornado unamortized AAO balance. Should the unamortized AAO balance for the May 2011 Joplin tornado be included in rate base? I would agree with Empire and include it in the rate base. I know that staff doesn't support including this in rate base because the commission typically has a policy of sharing the financial risk for these unamortized portions, like carrying costs and incremental O&M with shareholders. But I do think that the level of destruction from the tornado was something that the company could in no way have predicted or prevented, and that they had to step up and essentially rebuild major parts of their system from the ground up. So I'm fine with keeping these in rate base. Commissioner Kenny?
I support the company as well.
Commissioner Root?
Yeah, I agree with your comments, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yeah, I can support that position.
And Commissioner Holzman?
Empire.
Okay. Number 26, depreciation and amortization expense. We have three subparts here. A, what is the appropriate level of depreciation and amortization expense of plant to include in the cost of service? B, should depreciation expense for transportation equipment that was charged through the clearing account be removed from depreciation expense? And I, what are the authorized depreciation rates for accounts 371 and 373 to be used in the cost of service? So I'm comfortable using staff's amortization expense and depreciation levels after calculating that the depreciation rates for 371 and 373 at the levels that was recommended by Empire. And I think that staff also agreed with that. And I agree with staff that the depreciation expense for the transportation equipment should be removed. And I agree with Empire on the depreciation rate of 4.67% for account 371 and 3.33% for account 373, which were the depreciation rates set in the last rate case. And I don't think staff disagrees on those rates either. So that's 26, A, B, and I. Commissioner Kenny?
I can support each of those positions.
Okay. Commissioner Root?
Yeah, I'm in support. Staff, Empire, like your comments.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement with that position on all three items.
Okay. And Commissioner Holzman?
Support the chairman.
Okay, brings us to 27, IATAN and Plum Point carrying costs. I think we can take both issues of 27 together. A, what is the appropriate level of unamortized IATAN and Plum Point carrying costs to include in rate base? And B, what is the appropriate level of carrying amortization to include in amortization expense? On subparts A and B, I agree with staff. IATAN 1, $3,939,778. IATAN 2, $2,148,142, and Plum Point 100,923, which is a total of $6,188,843. And carrying costs and the appropriate level of amortization expense of $84,729 for IATAN 1, $44,828 for IATAN 2, and $1,987 for Plum Point, for a total of $131,544. So I believe that reflects staff's position. Commissioner Kinney,
I support staff on this one.
Commissioner Roop,
I'm in agreement with staff and the numbers you articulated.
okay, Commissioner Coleman,
I concur with that position.
and Commissioner Holzman.
Support staff.
Okay. 28, incentive compensation. What is the appropriate level of incentive compensation to be included in the cost of service? I'm going to agree with staff's recommended level of cash incentives of $1,245,016 based on performance goals. Like I mentioned last week, I support the exclusion of stock awards since they are based on measures that primarily benefit shareholders and not ratepayers. Commissioner Kinney?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think this is pretty consistent staff's approach that we've had in the past, so I support staff's position on this.
Okay. Commissioner Root?
Yeah, I'll go with staff.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support staff's position.
Commissioner Holzman?
Staff.
All right. 29, customer demand program. What is the appropriate rate base amount for the customer demand program? And what is the appropriate amortization amount for the customer demand program? I think the difference between the parties amounts to less than $2,000 in this. So I'm going to go with staff's recommended amount of $4,267,998 with an amortization amount of $1,447,308. Commissioner Kinney?
I support staff.
Commissioner Root?
As do I.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in support of staff's position.
And Commissioner Holzman.
Staff.
All right, 30, bad debt expense. What is the appropriate level of bad debt expense to be included in the cost of service? I don't think Empire accurately identified the full amount since their amount is lower than staff's. Staff looked at the most recent 5 years of bad debt write-offs, and I support their recommendation of $1,883,442 to include in the cost of service. Commissioner Kinney?
Staff.
Commissioner Root?
Staff.
Commissioner Coleman?
Staff also.
And Commissioner Holzman?
Staff.
All right, 31, retail revenue. What is the appropriate amount to remove from retail revenue for unbilled revenue, franchise tax revenue, and FAC revenue? I'm going to agree with staff's recommendation on this. And then on B, what is the level of billing determinants per rate schedule? I want to use staff's determinants up to the true update. And C, should the billing adjustments and the retail revenues be trued up to January 31st of 2020? Yes, except for unbilled revenues, franchise tax, and FAC revenues as staff proposed. So staff's position on A, B, and C. Commissioner Kinney?
I concur.
Commissioner Roop?
As do I.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement.
Commissioner Holzman?
Staff on all three.
Okay, 32, other revenue. What is the appropriate normalized level of revenue for rent revenue or other electric revenue and fly ash revenues? I'm going to agree with Empire's rec that it goes through the true up. Commissioner Kinney?
I supported staff on this one.
Okay. Commissioner Roop?
Empire's position.
Commissioner Coleman?
I support staff.
And Commissioner Holzman?
Well, I think this is the first time that it's actually gotten to me with the decision.
Second today, but go ahead.
I support Empire.
Okay. 33, Tax Cut and Jobs Act revenue. What is the appropriate amount of Tax Cut and Job Act revenue to remove from last year's revenues? I support staff's reduction to test year revenues of $7,760,077 through adjustments to all rate classes. Commissioner Kinney?
I concur.
Commissioner Roop?
I'm in agreement.
Commissioner Coleman,
I'm in agreement.
and Commissioner Holzman.
Staff.
All right, in the second part, should revenues associated with the Tax Cut and Job Act stub period be removed from revenue? I think the commission already addressed this last week when discussing the handling of the stub period, so I don't think this question needs to be addressed again. Does everybody agree with that? That was handled last week?
Yes.
Okay. That brings us to 34, property insurance.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
no.
Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Coleman.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Could we go back to 32, please? Looking at my notes, I'm a little ahead of myself on stuff. I think I supported staff's position. Were they on item 32?
Mm-hmm.
Can the judge confirm that?
I believe you
and
did.
I think, and the majority, I actually, my real goal was to support Empire's position. It's a moot point because I believe that the majority went with Empire, but Empire is the position that I intended to support. So I just want to make sure that's on the record.
Okay.
I will make that correction, Commissioner.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate that. No problem. I think we were getting ready for 34, property insurance. What is the current, or what is the appropriate test year amounts for before comparing to the current premium amounts? I'm fine with going with Empire's proposed levels on this. On 34A, Commissioner Kinney.
I don't think it really matters. They're so close, but I was with staff.
Okay, Commissioner Roop.
I was with staff as well.
All right, Commissioner Coleman.
I'm in support of staff's position on that.
All right, and Commissioner Holzman. Okay, and what is the appropriate amount of injuries and damages expense to include in the cost of service? Not really a lot of evidence on this, and I don't really understand how staff came to a split it 50-50 with the non-electric activities, which seems somewhat arbitrary. So I'm going to go with Empire's rec of 312, 562. Commissioner Kinney.
I concur with you.
Commissioner Roop.
Empire as well.
And Commissioner Coleman.
Empire.
And Commissioner Holzman.
Empire.
Okay. 36, payroll and overtime. A and B, what is the appropriate test year amount for payroll expense? And what is the appropriate test year amount for overtime expense? I'm going to agree with staff on both, which is $40,750,944 combined payroll and overtime. Commissioner Kinney.
I support that position.
Commissioner Roop.
I agree as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
I agree also.
And Commissioner Holzman.
Staff.
All right. 37, retention bonuses. Should proposed retention bonuses for linemen be included in the cost of service? I support Empire's proposal for the lineman bonus of $1,021,080 to be included in the cost of service related to lineman retention bonuses. I think that Empire's testimony there is that there were problems retaining qualified journeyman linemen, and hopefully this will help. So, Commissioner Kinney.
Yes, I support Empire's position.
Commissioner Roop.
I support Empire as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
I'm in agreement.
And Commissioner Holzman.
Empire.
All right. On employee benefits, number 38, what is the appropriate level of employee benefits to include in cost of service? I'm going to go with staff's recommendation along with staff's recommended jurisdictional allocation. Commissioner Kinney.
I can support that position, staff.
All right. Commissioner Roop.
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Coleman.
I'm in agreement.
And Commissioner Holzman.
Staff.
All right, 39, property taxes, A and B. What is the appropriate amount of property taxes to include costs and service? and what is the proper method to be used for calculating the property tax amount to be included. On A, I support staff's property tax amount after jurisdictional allocation. And on B, I support staff's method of calculating the property tax amount. So staff on both. Commissioner Kenny?
No, I think staff is in error when they did that percentage breakdown. I support Empire on this.
Okay. Commissioner Roop?
I'm with staff on both.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
SMI on both with staff.
Okay. Commissioner Holzman?
Staff on both.
All right. On 40, dues and donations, A and B. What is the appropriate amount of dues and donations that should be included in cost of service? And should Edison Electric Institute dues be included in the cost of service? I'm going to take those both together. I support staff's rec on A of $130,086 of dues and donations to be included. On Part B, the EEI dues, I also support staff to exclude those dues since I don't think the company demonstrated how EEI membership provides any direct benefit to ratepayers or how it's a provision of safe and adequate service. So I'm going to go with staff on those. Commissioner Kenny?
I support staff.
Commissioner Root?
Staff on both.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement with staff's position.
And Commissioner Holzman.
Staff on both.
All right, 41, outside services. What is the appropriate amount of outside services to include in the cost of service? I support Empire and staff's recommendation of $2,326,254, but would like to apply staff's jurisdictional allocation factor. Commissioner Kenny?
I support staff with both of those.
Okay, Commissioner Root?
Yeah, I would accept both staff and Empire's number and agree with the jurisdictional.
Okay. Commissioner Coleman?
I think that's most appropriate also. I am in agreement with your position as stated.
Okay. And Commissioner Holzman?
Chairman's position.
Okay. Brings us to 42, common property removed from plant and accumulated depreciation. What is the appropriate method and amount for removal of common property from plant and service and accumulated depreciation? I'm going to accept Empire's position of using the mass rate allocation factor for specific asset balances that are shared with non-electric businesses, but would like to apply staff's jurisdictional allocation to that. Commissioner Kenny?
I'll support both those positions.
Okay, Commissioner Roop?
I agree on both those.
Commissioner Coleman?
I'm in agreement also.
Commissioner Holzman?
For both positions.
All right. For issue 43 in the judge's memo and its subparts concerning the conditions and the commission's order for the merger case, I think the commission already addressed that and any possible violations of conditions that are relevant to the case. And I don't see a need to address them again. Does anybody disagree with that? We kind of handled that last week.
I'm fine with that.
I agree with that.
All right. All right. So no objection. We're going to go to 44. And I think that we can take both parts of 44 together. Accounting authority order for Asbury retirement impacts. Does the commission want to order an AAO to account for the impacts of Asbury's retirement? And if the commission orders an AAO, what does the commission want to include in it? I do support an AAO to account for the impacts of Asbury's retirement. I also support inclusion of all items that all parties recommended to be tracked, both regulatory assets and regulatory liability accounts for the commission to consider in the next rate case. Some of the items suggested in the briefs may be duplicative of what was suggested in the agreement or what is being tracked through the FAC, like OPCs, SPP, and fuel costs. So I don't know if they need to really be included in this one. Commissioner Kenny?
I support the AAO and the conditions in the agreement.
Okay, Commissioner Roop.
Yeah, I'm in support of it as well, and the conditions in the agreement as well.
All right, Commissioner Coleman
I'm in agreement with that position.
and Commissioner Holzman.
I also support the AAO. I've got a few notes here on the OPC AG&J. I support all of the staff recommendations, and then would add OPC's AG&J in there as well.
Okay. Well, Judge, I think that gives us direction on every single issue. Do you have anything that in your notes that we needed to go back to?
I do not.
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner
Yes,
Kenny.
Commissioner. Yep.
I would like to thank the judge for, I would say that this memo was in two parts. And during my tenure here, it is far and away the largest memo we've had at before our commission. So I would thank him for the work he put into this. I know it's been very difficult case, difficult times, but just wanted to make that statement. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a very thorough and complicated case to have to do in these circumstances. So absolutely good work, Judge. Thank you for your hard work on that, and really everybody involved.
I'd like to recognize the judge also. He's done a fantastic job on a very detailed case. So I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this.
Judge, you can't tell, but I'm standing up and clapping right now.
Well, thank you all very much. I greatly appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Judge.
All right. Well, so that gets us through case discussion. All that we have left today is scheduling. GO 2018-03009 and 0310, the Spire Gas ISRIS hearing was supposed to be pushed back to tomorrow. But we hear that the parties are still working on submitting a written agreement, so it will need to be pushed back again to next week. Does anybody have a problem with Tuesday, June 2nd for an on-the-record presentation if they get this stipulation together?
Works great for me.
I'm open.
Okay. We'll hold June 2nd, and then if for some reason that doesn't work, probably have to look at Thursday the 4th. But hopefully it'll be done for an on the record on the 2nd. Let's see. Wednesday, June 3rd, we have agenda scheduled at 10:15. We have a presentation in AO 2020-0184 from Empire and Liberty about their transitioning to the Liberty name for their various utilities. That'll be following the agenda meeting. And then we also have an evidentiary hearing in WO 2020-0190. That's Missouri American Water's petition for approval to change in ISRIS. That's at 1 p.m. via WebEx. Wednesday, June 10th, we have agenda at 10:15 a.m. We also have that day an Evergy integration update in EM 2018-0012. That's an update on the KCPL Westar merger. That will be at the end of agenda that day. Wednesday, June 17th, agenda at 10:15, which will also have Amren's smart energy update as part of that agenda. Wednesday, June 24th, agenda at 10:15. Thursday, June 25th, we have an evidentiary hearing in WC 2020-0181. That's Beecham v. Missouri American Water Company. Judge Graham presiding. Currently scheduled in room 310 at 10 a.m., but may also possibly be via WebEx. And then Wednesday, July 1st, agenda at 10:15 a.m. So that gets us out scheduling through July 1st. Any questions, comments, or requests regarding scheduling through July 1st? Okay, seeing none, we have no further business coming before the body today. So thank you, commissioners, for all your work on this case discussion. And
Thank
we
you.
will stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr.
Take
Chairman.
care, guys.
Getting us
Bye.
through this quick.
All righty. Thank you, guys.
Bye.